Womp womp. It's some more standard. So we are back here again. We are going to be running some Overlord. So we're paying homage to our Zur Overlords again. But this one's a little bit different. So this is a cool list that I saw, online. Looks pretty cool. It's an Esper variation. So instead of going like Zur, Beans, Overlord of the Hauntwoods, Binding, doing all of that stuff, it's a little bit more of a mid-rangey kind of draw value, Esper list. So obviously, we're running Zurs. A little bit more fair, I would say, maybe. Zur, again, 1 and a white, target a non-aura enchantment, becomes a creature in addition to its other types. Pairs really well with our 3 Overlords. We've got the Floodpits. When it enters, draw 2, discard, or when it attacks as well. We've got the Overlord of the Balemurk. Enters or attacks, mill 4, get a non-avatar back. And Mistmoors, enters or attacks, create 2 1/1 insects. So these are kind of our big payoffs at the end here. Try and stick some of these, with a Zur, and use that to accrue some value. Get some, maybe, recur some of our Zurs, recur some of our Glimmers or our Unyielding Gatekeepers, bring back some value and try and push through to the end. The Unyielding Gatekeeper is actually a really interesting card. So it has Disguise. So for 3 mana, it's a face down 2/2 with Ward 2. You can turn it up for 1 and a white. When it's turn face up, exile another target non-land permanent. If you controlled it, return to the battlefield tapped. Otherwise, its controller makes a 2/2 detective. So this one is kind of a modal, or not modal, but a I guess modal would be correct. But it's a offensive and defense. It's an interactive and a proactive card. So you can use this either to like turn this face up, exile one of your Overlords, or if they're trying to kill like a Zur or something else, you can use this as a way to blink it out, blink it back, or you can use it as a removal spell, because the 2/2 detective really doesn't matter too much. There's plenty of ways to either deal with it, block it. It's not, I don't think the 2/2 is very consequential. Also running 4 momentum breakers, so this is good for decks that are maybe trying to go wide. It's really good against some of the like Gruul aggro decks, keep their creature count down. Helps out a lot with that. Same thing with like Pixie. If they're bouncing their stuff over and over again, you can either have them, sacrifice a creature, or if they don't have anything out in play, they have to discard cards. Nowhere to run, just a good value kill spell. Does really good work against aggro, reduces the cost of their mice, Heartfire Hero, reduces the power on the Emberheart Challenger as well. So just a couple different good targets. Hits some of the like Fear of Isolations. Not as good against Domain, obviously, but that is, some of the sideboard cards are a little bit better for that. Inquisitive Glimmer, enchantments cost 1 less, rooms unlocks cost 1 less. The rooms don't really matter, but the cool thing here, the cool tech here is, you've got your enchantments costing 1 less, and because your Overlords are enchantments, you on turn 3 could go, have, perfect Esper mana. You can go Glimmer into Overlord all on 1 turn, which seems pretty strong, helps you, kind of put some stuff in your graveyard, get some stuff ready to recur. Scrollshift, I'm not as big of a fan of this one, but I'm gonna trust that the person who built this deck kind of knew what they were doing. In my playing, it always seemed like it was a little slow, like a 3 mana try and set up something, But we're gonna trust the deck architect for this one. But this might be something that I cut in the future if I enjoy this deck and I want to continue to play it. The other cool thing about like the momentum breaker and the nowhere to run is their enchantments. So they do let you. They do get animated with Zur, which is actually pretty strong. You've got kind of out of nowhere blockers if you really need them. We've got lands, lands and spell or lands here. So we've got a couple surveil lands, 2 Shadowy Backstreets, Undercity Sewers, Meticulous, and then just the verges to kind of round everything out. And then looking into the sideboard, it's a lot of sideboard cards, most common sideboard cards. So Sheltered by Ghosts, great against mice, great against any like aggro strategies and anything that's trying to kill you quickly. Negate, good against Overlords, good against Pixie, good against Control, all of those decks. Stonebrain, it's a one of, you can name Zurs, you can name Overlords, you can name a card, take it out of their deck. So the thing that you're most worried about, Loran's Again, really good against the Overlords. Also kind of interesting and kind of good against anything that might want to be running temp lockdown. So, you know, if they want to try and like lock down your momentum breaker, your nowhere to run, stuff like that, if you can use your Loran to kill it, you get all those ETBs and all those effects again. Leylines, there is a resurgence in graveyard strategies. So Oculus, you know, blue white Oculus, Jeskai Oculus, the Omniscience combo deck, the black green Roots deck is pretty good. That's starting to pop up a little bit more. Sheoldred, just a way to punish your opponent's draws. You know, if you're going against like a Azure deck, if you're going against like Domain, if you're going against the control deck, anything that's trying to draw a bunch of cards and do that, this will be very punishing. Wilt-Leaf Liege, again, good against Pixie, you know, bring it in the side. So you can discard it maybe on turn 1 and have a 4/4 that's a pretty good thing to have there. And then one Sunfall is just kind of like a, you know, oh shoot, I need a board wipe type situation. You know, if you expect games to kind of go long and you think you can use this incubate as a way to, you know, get in for some extra damage. One of the really cool thing actually that I'm just noticing now is this Enduring Curiosity. When it dies, it comes back as an enchantment if it's a creature. So what you get to do is if you use your Enduring Curiosity, instead it becomes just an enchantment, you can use your Zur to animate it so that when it dies, it comes back as an enchantment. So you get to, you know, if it doesn't seem like a huge thing, but a 4/4 with lifelink and death touch is still pretty good. Still pretty strong. So it's one of those things where, you know, maybe it comes up today, maybe it doesn't. But it is just a cool kind of little interaction that you get to have with this deck combined with like Zur. We're going to get into a couple games of Standard and we're going to see what Esper Zur can do. And we are into game 1 here going against, I'm not even going to say that name. Let's see what happens. We will play first. This hand, it's pretty good. So we've got all of our colors. We've got everything we're looking for. So as long as we're not going against like a super fast aggro deck, I like the Gatekeeper. Oh, sorry. Oops, did not mean to say good game. What is this? Realmbreaker? I don't like any of this. But we do get to start putting our Overlords into play. I don't know what our opponents do. I think this is that this is that Delirium deck. So lifelink is probably going to be pretty important. This is also a really interesting deck because our opponent is running the Afterburner Expert. So I would like to, let's just discard a land. We'll probably find more lands, right? So now here, yep, they get their Wrenn. So now this is where they're going to mill. Hopefully not turn on Delirium. So this is going to be a matchup where it's going to be really good to have our ley lines. So we do find our land. So now the question is, I think I want to go with the Glimmer into the Overlord, because that's going to set us up for a strong next turn. Unfortunately, we do if we mill not anything of consequence, but being able to go, sure, Obliterating Bolt, that's fine by me, because now they have, well, they do have Delirium, which is tough. So this looks like it's a like graveyard, like it's a Gruul Domain plus Exhaust. But we do get to animate our Overlords and start pushing through. So Obliterating Bolt does 4 damage, right? Yeah, 4 damage. So we might as well get while the getting is good here. So we're going to grab a Plains. We're going to jam our Zur. And I don't want to mill myself, I don't think. I think that is kind of the wrong direction to be going in terms of that. So we don't really need the Glimmer. So our plan next turn, if they don't kill our Zur, is to just start trying to put some of these Overlords into play, or maybe even just use this like Unyielding Gatekeeper as a way to start kind of dealing with some of our opponent's stuff. Now the problem is they are gaining life at a pretty quick rate, but they can't activate their Draconautics. They don't have a way to give it haste, and they give us the oops on the tap, so that was a unfortunate. Oh, and they're just going to concede there. Okay. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4 cards, 4 ley lines. Let's bring in a Stone Brain. Oh. Our opponent did not like what we were doing. I guess they are just going to concede and give us that game. I'm okay with that. Quick and easy first one. That doesn't really tell us much about the deck, but we will just continue to roll with it. And we're into game number 2 with Jimbo. What do you got for us, Jimbo? Waiting for our opponent. I don't know why you would choose anything other than first. This hand sucks. That's unfortunate. Now, our opponent keeps 7. We have to mull. I don't love this hand, but this hand does let us go like Glimmer into Zur and have like a lifelinker. So if this is like mono red, all right. So this is probably control. This might be Omniscience, but I don't think Omniscience is playing the Restless. So let's see what they do about our Inquisitive Glimmer. Is this No More Lies? Am I countered? Yep. So this is going to be a control matchup, which I don't know if this deck plays well into control. It feels like one of those like not great matchups because they just have answers, removal, board wipes, just kind of everything that deals with our stuff. And then those Zers are actually pretty, or not Zers, the Jaces are pretty good against us because, we've got our Overlord of the Balemurk. So they can mill us pretty aggressively, and we just kind of have to take it, which is not ideal. And they've got 4 mana up, so I imagine that they're just going to have all of the interactions. So we're going to just try and we're going to see what they've got. I think I like throwing this out just to either get rid of a card or get rid of a counter spell. So it's, it's one less counter spell for them to have, which I'm okay with because, they're probably trying to do other stuff, do some silly shit, and I don't want them to do that. So, all right, so they're going to tap themselves down pretty low here, which I'm okay with because now I get to bring in my Overlord. Because there's none that I know of. There's no like 1 mana spell that can counter like an Overlord. At least not that's in the like the main deck and they're starting with it. So my concern here is that they might start going for some of the demo field. So they're hoping to start kind of killing off my lands at some point. Now drawing like a land. Okay, interesting. All right, so drawing a land is pretty good, but it does feed into a board wipe, which I'm not a huge fan of, but I do have Zur plus, another backup. So I don't have to imagine that they've got the bad boy here that's going to make me kind of sad. So I have to imagine they've got the No More Lies. And if that's the case, I'm going to go here. I'm going to play around this No More Lies, and I'm going to just basically dare them to have the removal. So I'm going to see. So they've got 6 lands. Sure, you can get lost that. That's fine. Now, I knew about the get lost. Or no, they had another get lost. So now they've got another get lost. So I don't know if it's even worth it for me to try and play this Overlord. Maybe I just start trying to push some damage in. Okay. There's that board wipe that I was hoping that they would play. So now so this, I need to start trying to draw out some of their interaction. And, they do get to get lost this, which is unfortunate, but I'll use the maps on my spirits, which is going to help a little bit. I'm not running main deck interaction. The Overlord is actually pretty good. So let's pump both of these. A couple 3 power guys. We'll keep the Overlord on top. And then if on end step, I'm guessing that they're going to get lost. They might also like deduce. I don't know if the deck is running deduce right now or anymore, but have to imagine that they're just gonna, yeah. So they're gonna keep burning their interaction. So I think their removal. So my plan is to just try and stick. Okay, so they're gonna field me now, so I lose my Overlord. I have to imagine. They might not do that, but I have to think that they're gonna hit. Yeah. So they're gonna field me. I'm gonna take action. So I'm gonna get my swamp. And let's see what they do or see what they've got. So I'm going to try and map both of these as well. Now, if they're like Day of Judgment, I'm not the worst thing, but I would love for them not to kill my creatures. So, oh, well, there's the bug. So let's go map 1. Just not a land. No lands on top because I'd like to attack and maybe pressure this anchorage. Nowhere to run seems fine. Not upset about that. So my only concern or my only issue here is just the way this mana base is put together. Obviously, it's a 3-color deck. It's really hard to. Are you gonna Ride's End? I'm so okay with that. You're gonna Ride's End a second one. Now I can try and jam this Overlord. Just in the blind. Yeah, let's try and just jam the Overlord. They probably have it, but I've got to try and resolve my spells. And obviously, I wanted that Nowhere to Run to go away because I was going to mill anyways, or I didn't want to put it in the graveyard. The thing with this deck, the way that this game kind of plays out, I feel like I do need to keep my, well, we're glimmering. I need to kind of keep the library total a little high because if they start finding their Jaces and start doing all of that, it gets really sticky for me. So I don't want to be in a situation like that. So they've got a Beza. That's fine. They're gonna make some things, some stuff and some things. But I probably just going to attack. Sure. Now what do I draw? So I've got a Gatekeeper. So I think the plan is play the Zur. I don't want to mill myself. That's kind of the big thing is I'm not super interested in milling myself, at least right now, just because my life total is getting a little low. So now, do I force them? I'm gonna force them to maybe use their board wipe. I don't know what exactly their plan is, but I do have a backup Zur, which is good. So if they board wipe and then try and get in with their anchorage, it's decent. I don't know what exactly their plan is in terms of that. So now, are they going to try and pump? Okay, they are going to pump this, which is fine with me. I have to imagine they don't want another Beza, which is understandable. I'm going to just take this. I don't really care about 4 damage right now, but they do get to sack a token. So I'm going to start leaving this little guy back and then go from there. So what we need to do, so we're going to play our land for sure. Let's animate here. I will tap again if I need to, if they want to try and this is probably the time where I actually want to flicker my Zur. And then move to the beats. And we'll attack like this. So I still need to leave up my guy. Let's grab this because I've already got a Zur in hand. And then we're going to kind of be a little patient with what we're trying to do. I don't want to commit too hard into the board wipe that they most likely have. Just because, if I get board wiped here, it's yep, there's that Sunfall. I can't stop that, which sucks. And they'll get to flip their incubate. So now I need to see some hot draws off the top. Sorry for that, just blocking half the screen. So let's go attack. And end step, let's look for another land, hopefully. This will also let me know if my, all right, so I can get one more Fabled Passage use, and then I'm done. So what could they have? I mean, if they've got, all right, so I'm finding lands, which is not ideal. What do I have left in my deck? I still got all, do I have all 4 of my Floodpits? I do have all 4 of my Floodpits. I've got some pretty good cards left in my deck. If I go Zer, 1, 2, 3, I can play around the No More Lies. So I'm gonna play it. This might not be correct, but I want to be able to give this Glimmer Death Touch so that if my opponent, when they flip their Incubate, I can block and maybe gain some life, and maybe they sack it to the Fountain Pour, and my guy lives. So that's kind of the out that I'm playing to right now. But like all of the board wipes, all the removal, all the things that they have really make it. All right, so this is where things start to get kind of poopy. And they might have tapped incorrectly, depending on what they want to do. I mean, if they want to mill me, yeah, so they're going to mill me 15 cards, which isn't great. Lost. All right, so all of my Mistmoors are gone. I've got no more Zers. I've got 1 Glimmer, a couple Floodpits. So I'm running low on answers. Now I wonder if they have like second Zer. If they do, I'm cooked, pretty much. So I think this, I'm realizing that this is kind of the problem or the issue with this deck is that against control, I don't think this is a very strong deck just because they have so much removal and there's not a lot of like counter magic, not a lot of interaction to be had. But this is pretty good. We'll start here. I mean, if they have another Jace, they have another Jace. I can't play around the fact that they might have another Jace, but I definitely can't like use my Overlord of the Balemurk. So what do I discard at this point? I think the Momentum Breaker actually is probably pretty good. And I'm still playing around their removal or their counter spell, which I'm okay with. Because they could like No More Lies, but I think their plan is to sack their map. And use, yeah. Sure, you make a fish. You don't want to. All right, so you've probably got the Jace at this point, which isn't great. If they have the Jace, again, there's not a lot that I can do to stop them. I just need to maybe go to the side and get my Stone Brain, grab my sure. Let's just turn this into a creature now. So the plan, unless I draw like a Overlord of the Balemurk, I'm just gonna go basically right to combat. And I'm just gonna attack, draw 2, discard, see what I can get. I think they're maybe trying to math because I'm putting them on a 3-turn clock, but now they're just kind of roping for a second, and I don't know why. Seems a little odd. I mean, they've got 2 in hand unless it's like land, but I don't know if, where the goal here is to just try and punch him in the face. And they're just taking their time. I think we are getting roped potentially. It looks like we're getting roped, and I don't think they're happy about whatever's going on. Maybe they don't like our mid-rangey little Esper strategy. Maybe they drew poorly. They've seen what, 1 stock up? Yeah, they've seen like 1 stock up, some counters. Like they've seen some stuff. But we're just gonna let them do their little rope thing and see what they do. We're going to continue to see what they do. So this is going to be the matchup, like I said, where I need to watch out for Tidebinders, because I don't want to like Stone Brain them into like 3 open mana so they can just like Tidebinder the activation, because the Jaces are like the way that I lose this game. So if they Jace me, it's pretty poor. With those the even 3 Jaces, like this deck draws enough cards and mills enough cards. So like Stone Brain into Jace, some negates, some number of those are going to be really good. And then anything else, let's see, maybe like the Loran, the Sheoldred is, I'm not sure if I want to bring in the Sheoldred. The Sheoldred just it dies too easily, I think, is the problem. And so it might just be like a 3-for-3, maybe cut down like 3 of my overlords. All right, and our opponent roped. Okay, and we just win. So we've got some fun and exciting games today. First game, our opponent, misplayed and then they auto conceded, and then this one our opponent roped us, and I think that's our first rope on the channel, which is pretty cool. And we are back against Voprax, however you want to say your name, big dino guy. I'm going to play first a 2-land hand. This hand casts all of my 2 glimmers plus my overlord. I'm going to be risky and keep it. And this hand plays well enough into like aggro, where if they do like something on turn 1, I can go into the momentum breaker. If they don't do anything, I get the glimmers into play and start trying to figure it out. All right, so this might just be control again. So I'm okay with this. I feel like I've been seeing like everyone playing control. I haven't really seen many of the like Overlord stuff or anything like that, but like, okay, so this is Overlords. Speak of the devil. All right, so we're going to surveil. Nowhere to Run doesn't feel like it's a great card. Doesn't really hit anything. Let's Momentum Breaker again. So we're trying to get all of our opponent's interaction or cards, put them as low as we can. So here we are going to tap like an adult, blue, white. We're going to play our Glimmer. We're going to play our Surveil land, Island. Order isn't super important for that, I guess. Maybe it would have been a little better. So we get back our Glimmer, and then we're just going to pass. So now the hope is we find a Zur. They've got 4 mana. They're just going to play their... Oh, yep, there's their Overlord. So now I'm really trying to find this Unyielding Gatekeeper. I think that puts me into a good position. Or this Zur. But the Zur doesn't do a lot for me right now. One thing I can do that's kind of cute is I can like force them to like double block and blink out my Momentum Breaker. But is that good enough? I don't think so. I mean, the big reason I'm thinking about doing this is because it gets me a land. Or I just don't be dumb and I just hit my Overlord. All right, so there's my land, which is perfect. So we're going to get back our Zur. And I think I'm fine to... Now that I've got my my Zur in hand, I've got my Glimmer. I'm fine to do that because I can like play the Glimmer or play the Zur, and it just lets me do kind of everything that I want to. So now I just have to hope that they don't have like Zur into like Overlord. Yep, naturally. But it's not the end of the world. I do take this. Yep, I'm not going to block. You can make your guys. I do need to deal with your Zur. Let's just grab a plains and my turn. All right, so my Zur. So now the interesting thing that I can do is I can use my mana to turn my Momentum Breaker. No attacks. I can turn my Momentum Breaker into a blocker, which I can, if they don't have binding, it looks like they might have. All right, so they have that. So we are still going to do this. We're going to turn this into a creature, and then we are going to have to double block, which isn't great, but at least it gets rid of... Yep, I will take this double block. So I'm very curious how this works out. So I'm going to lose that. I think at this point I can just concede here. So this is one of those games where it's going to go kind of long. And so one thing that's really going to help is Stonebrain. The Sunfall is going to be good. 2 Lorans. The Sheoldred is going to be really strong, I think. And the Negate. So now the cards I don't like in this matchup. Nowhere to Run for sure is bad. I like the Gatekeeper enough. Maybe we just trim both of these. And is the Scrollshift that good? I don't think so. I don't think it's better than anything that I've brought in. So we're going to bring it down like this. So then the question, the thing I got to just figure out is what do I name off of the Stone Brain if I find it? If I find the Stone Brain, I think the most important card, depending on how their hand looks. So this hand looks great. This I need to play my hand correctly, but this lets me go like Verge into Glimmer into like Loran or like into Zur, depending on how they play their spells here. So let's go here. Let's play my Glimmer. Let's see if we can grind out against our Overlords here. Yep. So we're gonna get rid of that immediately because that card's fucking sucks. I hate when I'm playing the beans. It's fine, but when my opponent plays the beans, nah, you can kick rocks. Now I just need to hope that the rest of the hand that I've kept turns out much better. All right, so I'm glad I did what I did. So now that's 3 mana. So I think the Glimmer's better next. So we're just gonna start pushing through some damage. Now if they go like Zur into animate, it's like it's fine. But we'll see what our opponent does. I am not interested in you having a beans. Now, if you have a counter spell, like can't play around, I can't play around everything, but I also just can't cast this Overlord. So that's the one thing I've noticed a little bit about this mana base. Is sometimes you just kind of end up in a weird spot where you can't cast your Mistmoors. So is it worth it to go Zur without an animate? I don't think so. I mean, if they want to like binding plus Ride's End, they can. I'm fine to lose the one of the Glimmers. That's fine. Would you like to like binding the other one? So I'm just trying to reduce their life total. I should have maybe played the Zur. You never know. It's one of those things where they probably have it. I mean, the strength of this hand would have been insanely good if I had not, kind of dealt with their beans, because they would have gone like beans drawn, bean, like double bean. Yeah, they'd be fully stocked right now, which would have been really gross for me. And what could they have? Did they have Zur? Oh, they've got Baloth. Yeah, I'm not really doing any like discard stuff, so I'm okay for you to gain some life, but I do think I need this Zur to become a thing. I need this Overlord to be castable. Now I don't think I want to draw them cards yet. Okay, so we can go blue. All right, so it tapped me correctly. So let's see if I can get an untapped. All right, so we're gonna not pitch here. We're gonna pitch here because I'm looking at my lands and I wouldn't be able to cast off of that. So we're gonna go here. We are gonna go find our plains. Everything is coming up gravy, baby. And we'll impend. Now I'm just gonna hold back and wait. I'm not in a rush to kind of get anywhere. Their Zur comes off suspend, or not their Zur. Their creature comes off suspend, but I can throw like everything in front of it, and then I've got my own Zur to kind of use to activate and protect. So let's bring in my Zur. Now I'm gonna hold off on activating, just in case they try and like do something silly, because I think I'm in a good spot in terms of my board position. Now obviously that could change pretty quickly, but I will animate. So what are the odds that they've got a board wipe left in their deck? So if I do, I think if I'm going to lose an Overlord, I'd rather lose the Floodpits. I don't really care as much about losing the I don't care as much about losing the Floodpits. The Mistmoors is the one that like is gonna kind of help stabilize and fix where I'm at right now. Sure. Leyline binding. You can hit my Overlord of the Floodpits. I'm okay with all of these game actions because I can still draw like a Loran off the top. I don't have enough blocking toughness, so you've only got 2 in hand. Like at this, I mean, I think they're just trying to race me. I don't know what else their plans are. So, oh, this is fun. Oh, baby. All right, so I can flip this face up. And I can blink out my Loran. Is that good? So let's just go to combat. 1, 2. Put him down. There's no need, so I can... Actually, let's not do that. Let's leave him scared. Resolve. Blocks. I don't really care as much about my Glimmer anymore. We're going to turn this face up. And I'll get my Overlord back. You'll get a detective. Drop land. And we get the concession, baby! All right, game 3. There's no real changes I want to make. I think that actually worked out pretty well. Get fucked, Overlords. I am the superior Overlord deck. How dare you step into my realm? So we'll see. I would love to get a nice little 3-0 on the day, but a technical 3-0. I mean, those first 2 games were kind of like gross in terms of the way that everything shook out. But we are into game 3, so this one's, we gotta be smart. Got to find our hate cards, things that deal with their beans and stuff like that early. So honestly, I think if I find my Stone Brain, my Stone Brain is going to hit the probably the beans, just because I can't have them just like beansing all over the place, dropping their beans everywhere. So let's see what our opponent does. There's no reason for them not to go first. I mean, this hand, it deals with stuff, and I'm okay with it. So we need to get an island off of this first. So I would love to maybe see like a momentum breaker. All right, so I think they're trying to dig for something. So my plan is to go now. So we're going to get an island, play our flood, our Gloomlake, because we want our Verge is here to tap for all the mana. We're going to go here. And we're going to get the Overlord going. Overlord gamers. Oh, fuck me. Oh, that's 2 sideboard cards just gone. That sucks. All right, well, we'll see what happens. I've got this Loran. Now, they're going to have 4. So they could have like 5 mana, which would deal with my creatures. But I am going to pop an Overlord. I am really sad that this Stone Brain is in the grave. That sucks. But we're still making our land drop. So I think, next turn we're looking at Mistmoors as a way to kind of get some pressure started. So what do you have yeah. I'm not, I guess I am playing the discard effects actually. So I should probably not just like throw myself into one of those by accident. Oh, I'm a donkey. Shit. All right. So I forgot that I don't have a plane, so I needed to play that other land first. Let's drop Verge. So now I've got my planes. No attacks. So then next turn I can animate this, and that leaves me up a pretty good blocker. And our opponent's at 3 in hand, so I would... All right, I thought they were going to like Kaido me or something, and that would have been absolutely bananas. So we're going to play our Zur. We're going to see if they've got something for the Overlord, which I have to imagine that they do. I'm not interested in animating the Overlord yet. I'm going to wait. Gonna give them the opportunity to do their shit. And then all right, so now like if they go in and like board wipe, it is what it is. And I'm in enough of a good position. Yeah, that's fine. I don't even really want them to draw a card, so I'm okay with this this exchange here. So they're down to 1 in hand. A Loran on top is pretty good. I'm not going to map because I don't want them to know that I have a Loran. Because that Loran I think is going to come down and just kind of shit in their Cheerios a little bit. All right, so if they don't have a follow-up play, this Loran is going to just like shit in their Cheerios. All right, so this is a little tough that they got to draw, but there's only so much I can do. So we're going to go here, 3 mana, and then we're going to disguise. Let's go find a land. And we're going to map. The Glimmer seems good enough. So let's take some trades. They've got 2 in hand, no beans. I think my plan is to blink this out, or hit this, and then hit the Loran. All right, well, that's not ideal. All right, so they can't activate, which I think okay, now they can activate, which is still fine. I'm going to hit their Zur. I'm just going to take my damage. So we're going to turn face up. You can have a detective. Let's go 3. And you can have a detective. Now, there's no need to attack. So I just need this Overlord to get turned on at this point, and then we're sitting pretty. I hate that. All right, so now it might be Loran drawing cards time. Oh, of course, their last card is just all right. Well, we're gonna just both draw. All right, so I'm glad I did that because I don't want this fucking swamp. But this is a big womp here. I think I'm thinking we're a little bit cooked. I don't know what exactly I draw that gets me out of this. Overlord is a good start because that lets me Zur plus Overlord, which is actually pretty good. So, or the question is, do I take because I can go 3. I think getting the Zur is strong enough and it's good enough. Now, I'm unsure what they could have. I don't have anything else, so I think I'm going to map the Zur. They have a binding. There's not a lot I can do. Yeah, I think I'm just fresh out of... I'm out of luck. We're just going to turn this on now. And then if they... I'm at 5, and I'm just praying for the best. Now it looks like I'm getting outdone. Also, again, losing that Stone Brain early was pretty brutal. I would have probably been able to blow him out a little bit, but alas. What are you looking in your graveyard for? You're not doing anything with your grave. Now they could just draw like their Nissa. Oh, analyze. All right, so I'm assuming they go to find they find their Zur, and then they can activate. And I can't double block. Oh, they're going to animate everything and then just full swing. I have to imagine. Yeah, I can't beat this. So unfortunately, that is a GG. They just drew the right cards at the right time. That's some shit. But I like the deck. It seemed pretty cool. This might not be the most representative of how good the actual deck is, but it might be a decent build. The only concern is just the card draw didn't feel as good. Never got to find the creativity, which sucked. I wasn't able to do that cute little trick of like animate it, let it die, animate it, let it die over and over again. But that is a game of 3. So we are going to call it here. Thank you for coming by. Thanks for checking out the Scryhards, and have a wonderful day.